Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with reTHINK Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 46. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at reTHINK Coaching. And as always, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. Time is our truly most valuable asset, and I appreciate you sharing yours with me. So today, I am truly excited, and I have a really awesome guest with me. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you're seeing the video, you get to see this beautiful human being on this podcast with me. Her name's Robin McCoy. So Robin, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, Tony. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited about this.
My pleasure. And so Robin and I, real quick, have a fun past. So we back in,
you may want to clarify.
I know that sounds kind of seedy. Sorry, Chris and Reagan. No, we met back in 2009. Robin was an agent at the Keller Williams office that I came into as a team leader. And so we've known each other in different roles in life. And I would say the best role that you fulfill in my world is friend. And then I've got to watch you grow from this real estate agent I met in 2009 to this person you are today. So I want to talk a little bit with you today about the journey, Robin, if that's okay.
Sure. It's been quite the journey. And you have been there. I didn't realize that it was 2009. So I'd only been an agent a year when you showed up in my world. So It's been a long time.
May 1st, 2009 is when I walked in the doors. I know,
okay.
Hard to believe. So the other disclaimer is I'm Robin's coach. And so we get to work together on a really high level, which again, I truly appreciate. So Robin, we talked about this a little bit earlier today. I want you to share your journey in terms of when you and I started working together, you had an opportunity where you were a little uncertain about what you wanted. Let's talk about that for a minute, if you don't mind, because I think that was a critical piece for you exploding the way that you've exploded with business.
I think so. When we, so just kind of that backtrack, that time as my team leader, kind of showed me some different things, but you had me and, 100 plus other agents that were kind of in your world. And I know you have 100 other coaching clients in your world, but when it's just that phone call, then it seems like I'm the only one. And so when we decided to work together, honestly, I was unsure. I was afraid we knew each other too well. I was afraid there was too much of a personal friendship relationship in there. And I didn't know if the client coach situation would work, but we had some conversations early on, and I didn't know what I wanted the future to look like. I just knew what I didn't want it to look like. And I did not know, I guess I didn't know what I didn't know. I've been a real estate agent for a long time, very transactional. I feel like I'm very good at what I do. I feel like my clients really appreciate what I do and they find value in what I do. What I was challenged with is, what do I want the rest of my career? And at, now about ready to turn 61, am I going to do this till I'm 91, or how do I finish out this? And how do I make sure that I have the things in place? And how do I think about that to make sure that I'm doing the right things every day?
Yeah. Robin, I think you're not unlike so many others. And I don't know why, or scientifically why this works this way, but a lot of times we have an easier time knowing what we don't want than knowing what we do want. And I remember our first couple calls were really just to drill down on that, to get crystal clear, because without knowing what you do want, the brain's like just zigzagging like a pinball, right? It's like, I don't know what, I really don't know, I'm just doing. And so once we discovered what you do want through a process of uncovering what you didn't want, we came up with three containers for you. And for you, those were critical. And do you mind sharing what that is? Because that, again, has been a great focal point for you.
I remember this conversation because it was one of the pre-hot days here in Texas. And I was out on my deck and enjoying a nice spring day. And we were really talking about what are the three things. And for me, it's health. I need to be healthy, because what I didn't want was to be in the situation that currently my mother is in and unable to walk. Wealth, health, wealth, meaning I want to be able to sustain the lifestyle I choose to sustain, and health, wealth, and tribe, my community. And it's really important to me to have people that like-minded people around me, people that support me, that I can support. So those three things, and I remember this like it was yesterday, sitting out on that deck, and all of a sudden it seemed manageable. It all of a sudden seemed very manageable to me. But you told me, you said, okay, we got to stop thinking and don't, because just using again health as an example, when you get up to a certain age and all of a sudden my mother was struggling and she couldn't walk, and I didn't want that. And so instead of, I don't want to be like my mom, it became, I'm going to be 80 and be able to walk unassisted.
Yeah.
And just changing the way, and it just made it easier.
I've said this a couple of times, but it really does, like, your brain is waiting to take your lead. And if you don't give it a lead, it's like a 3-year-old unattended. It's just going to do whatever it wants to do, right?
So that explains a lot. So I never actually had a 3-year-old in my house, but in fact, I've had one in my head.
Yes.
That's what
Called your brain. And yeah. So once you got clarity on that, all decisions that we made based upon, is it fulfilling your health, your wealth, and your tribe?
Yeah.
We started to watch your business grow and grow and grow, which, again, with you.
Became more, and I became more focused on, and I have to remind myself often that, okay, if what I'm doing is not about health, wealth, or community, tribe, do I need to really be doing this right now?
Yep.
And it's a moving target. It's always a moving target, but it gives me something to refocus on when you get out of your head.
Yeah. And when all the external noise happens in our world, a big part of what you and I worked on and still work on is thought strategy combined with business strategy. The great thing about working with you is we didn't have to have the conversation about, this is what you do, pick up the phone, do this, go knock on her. You knew the fundamentals of real estate. And I think, like a lot of agents and entrepreneurs out there, we focus so much on the business strategy, and we leave this really critical piece of the puzzle, or what I call the success equation, on the table. We don't attend to it, and that's our thought strategy. And so what portion of your success would you attribute to the time that we're now spending working on mindset work and just reframing the way that you think about things?
Well, and whether it depends on, how do you define success? Is that number of units? Is that number of volume? Is that number of families helped? Is that, or is it just the happiness that you have in doing the work, And I think that's a big part of it, is I found some happiness in this again. This is hard work. I don't, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not just rainbows and fluffy unicorns bouncing through a field of daisies. There's some hard things that go into this, and oftentimes a realtor, the real estate agent, will absorb the anxiety of the client, right? And I do that, and I want to take as much stress off my clients as I can. However, to keep our mindset where it should be, right? Not in the there's things I can't control, and there are things I can control.
Yep.
And I find myself enjoying the work again. I find myself able to separate myself from the noise out there. The market is the market is the market. When there is a bit of a dry spell, I'm not calling title companies and seeing if they want to hire me. The panic isn't there, because I know now what I'm thinking about will give me the actions. And if we talked about that this morning, by doing the actions, the results come, and being comfortable in that thought process and believing it, I think, is really important.
That's the key right there, Robin, is having a solid belief in that it's possible. Having a solid belief in the activities you're doing will net the results. I would say is accountable for over 80% of our success, because if I had a disbelief, let's say in the real estate market, that nobody's buying and nobody's selling, and then it was time for me to call 5 people in my that I've worked with in the past, my energy is going to show up before me, and it's going to be an energy of belief of, well, they're not going to do anything anyway. I don't know why I'm calling. Right? That's the underlying energy that goes out. But when you hold the space that you believe that those activities, those conversations, those mailers that you're sending out, those, the newsletters, whatever it is that you're doing, are going to arrive with the right energy, it changes everything. And it does start with the belief.
Well, and I've had two, in addition to you, prior to you, I had two
Yeah.
amazing coaches in Michelle Anderson and Kara Mull, and
Yep.
you know both of them.
Very well.
And Michelle said to me one time, "Do you believe transformation can happen? Can people, behaviors, situations change?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Then transformation is possible." And it happens all the time, right? We see it.
Yep.
And then Kara Mull told me, "Robin, bloom where you're planted. Quit trying to do the things that you hate."
Yes.
Or because again, that energy, I'm not going to do certain activities that I don't like to do. And I can say I'm going to do them. And then I feel like crap later because I didn't do them.
So you're not going to do it.
So by bloom where you're planted. And
Yep.
that's where I got into my tribe and building my community, where the majority of my business now comes from.
Which is amazing. I mean, it truly is. And those are great. Like, transformation can happen in an instant. It can. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out, oh my God, it's going to take me a year to transform. Transformation happens when you decide. That's it. When you decide to make a difference, and it starts inside out. And I think in the world that we live in, where we have so much coming at us from social media, from Facebook, from Instagram, from this, from that, that, one of Kara's favorite things she's ever said to me when we worked together as coaches was, don't compare your blooper reel to somebody else's highlight reel.
I was just going to say that.
It was one of my favorite things that, I picked up from being with her. And I think that influences us in that moment of stuff going on. And so it is really important to have that internal congruency, that internal confidence and belief that what you're doing is right for you, period.
Well, and I think and then it took me so long to really understand what that meant, right? And we live in an industry where realtors like strain their shoulder, patting themselves on the back, right?
Yep.
We're all about, how much we did and how much, and it's very difficult not to compare yourself to this other person who's over here doing whatever it is they're doing. And yet you aren't that person. And yet you don't know what they are really doing, right? So maybe you see somebody that sold 30 units, a single agent sold 30 units in a month or 2 months or whatever it is, right? And it's like, oh my God, what did they do? They're amazing. Well, maybe they had a new construction and they had, 40 listings or 100 listings in this new development. I don't know. And they sold 40 of them that month. Okay. But do you have that? So that comparing yourself, all it's doing is tearing you up.
It truly is. Yeah.
I think you can be inspired, and I think you can get information and ideas, but an actual one-on-one comparison, unless you are that person and you live in that person's world, it's detrimental.
Totally detrimental. And, to your point, you don't know what the person's done for the past 10 months that brought them to that level of success. We think it was overnight. We think they just showed up and had a ta-da moment.
Because Facebook shows us that.
Right. Facebook is not showing us the hard work, the failures, the disappointments. They're just showing us the ta-da moment. And so, And so, Robin, you're a strong entrepreneur and you're in the field of real estate. If you were talking to somebody who wants to be in that lane and is maybe not hitting the level of success that they would like to hit, what are two solid pieces of advice you would like to give to them?
I think it's and whether it's real estate or anything else, it's perseverance, right? I say I got my license in 2008, and then the next day the market went in the toilet, because it's pretty much what it felt like. But I survived it, and I'm still here to talk about it. And what I learned is keep your head down and do what you know is right. Do the next right thing, as James Shaw, another coach of mine, I've got lots of coaches, that he likes to say, right? It's just do the next right thing. And as we talked about this morning, it's find those actions and know that, okay, if I'm not, if I didn't get the results I want, I know I do all the actions so that I can win the day. It's about winning the day, not winning the hour.
Yeah. It is, right? And if we win enough days, we win the week. If we win enough weeks, we've won the month, we've won the year.
Lou Holtz said nobody won a game, and no games are won in the first quarter.
No,
Games, games are not won in the first quarter. And so you can't write off the whole week on Monday is really,
no.
and that's where the mindset comes in.
Totally. And it's just we live in a space again of a lot of stuff coming. So I think that's great advice to do what's right for you. And if that's the path you choose and you're not getting results, failure is phenomenal because there's a lot of hidden gems in the failure.
Yeah.
And so taking a look at that, maybe hiring a coach, maybe getting into the space of having somebody else be able to look at your business from 40,000 foot than being in it. And so
And I think that's huge. That's what coaching and whether it's a one-on-one coach like you and I have,
yep.
and maybe it's surrounding yourself with people that are higher production, lower production, same production, single agent team, being able to pull out what you need and
Yeah.
not feeling like you've got to do all of it, because you're not going to. We all go to real estate conferences. I don't care what brand you're with. We all have our yearly get-togethers, if you will, and you're bombarded with information. Oh, I did this and I sold 100 units. I did that and I sold, whatever. Pick 3
Yeah.
because you're never going to do them all. And it's going to make you feel really bad about yourself if you try and choose them all.
It is. And I would say it's like a buffet, right? Like if I'm going
Yeah.
to a buffet, you pick the stuff that you like. You skip the green beans if you don't like green beans. And so personal here, you skip the green beans.
So now I know no green beans.
When a lot of times we get into the mindset of just, like you said, I've got to do it all. I've got to do it all. And I think the simplicity is key. And it's like what we did with you. We picked the 3 focus areas. There could have been 20. We picked 3.
And they're not all the same thing, right?
No.
It's not about how much real estate am I going to sell. It doesn't matter whether I sell 30 units, 10 units, or 100 units, as long as the bank account translates to where I want it, where I desire to have it.
Yep.
Then the units don't matter, really,
No.
right? Because I could sell $5 million houses and have $5 million in volume. Or I could, sell 10 $500,000 houses and have the same amount in my bank account.
That's exactly it. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're driven. We're very driven, or we wouldn't be one, because it's not easy. It's
No.
Gary Keller says it right. It's a real estate simple. It's not easy. And I think that applies to anything that you do. If you're an entrepreneur in real estate or cosmetics or whatever it is, it really is simple, just not easy. And when you can put it into consumable chunks, 3 things, 3 areas I'm going to focus on. If it is not filling one of those containers for me, then I'm not doing the right thing. And then what 3 things am I going to do consistently from a lead generation behavior? And I'm only going to focus on those 3 because it's going to take me 90 days to start to really see results.
Right.
It's going to take me a year to get to a level of close to being masterful at it, and being okay with that it's not going to be perfect.
Well, and I think that's part of it too. And I was on a call with the author of I can't think of the name of it, The Perfection Trap. And I think especially entrepreneurs, we become very much perfectionists. And in some instances of our job, we have to be, right? We have contracts. Yeah. We've got a lot of people have a lot invested in the trust of us.
Yes.
Right. And so we do need to be perfect in some ways. And yet I think sometimes we try and translate that into being perfect in every way. And it's just not possible.
It's not possible. It's why rarely in whether it's whatever brokerage you're with, and you're looking at tools to help you forecast your business, it's why nothing's ever converting at 100%. That's perfect. Right. Nothing converts at 100%. It just doesn't. And so embracing that, and just kind of, we as humans, we want to look good and be right. So we usually don't run down the street saying, oh, look how much I screwed up today. I did, but honestly, if we did, right? If we did,
you might get over it faster.
You would get over it faster because you're acknowledging it. We tend to, as humans, if we don't look good or we're not right, we tend to hide it. And there's so much growth in the failure. There's so much growth in the non-perfection that I feel bad for people who don't embrace it, because you're missing your greatest opportunity.
Right.
Truly.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes you have to, excuse me, I think you have to, like you said, you have to own it. You
Yep.
know, okay, I tried that. It didn't work for me. I understand Tony is making great strides on that path, but my path is over here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and being okay with following that, and being okay with saying no to things that don't align, that aren't where you're planted. And
Yeah.
that, I think, that's one of the hardest things, I think, to change in our mind, especially if you're a new agent or a new person and you need to model yourself after something, right?
Yes.
Because you've never done it before. However, I think you have to try this, give it 90 days. If it doesn't work, set it aside and try this. Because again, what it works for Tony may not work for Robin.
You got it.
Because
Yeah.
I'm not Tony.
You're not me. And I'm not you. And I think, Rob, that kind of, I'm probably one of the few real estate coaches that will say this. I hate scripts because scripts aren't you. I think there's components of a script that help you convert sales at a higher level. But when people ask me for a script, I really resist it, because those are my words, not yours. Let's teach you the
Yeah.
important parts of a script and go. And I feel like that is such an opposition of why we became entrepreneurs, to be forced into doing this. Well, Robin did it this way, I got to do it exactly like that. No, what did I learn from Robin? What are the key factors, and how do I do it Tony style? And that's where it works. Yes.
You just adapt it. And, and that's, I think, when you just mentioned scripts, it's really just words to say, right? What point are you trying to get across? And how does Robin say it versus Tony? And when we do that, because we're not the same person, my words are going to be different. And yet the message is the same.
Yes. Yes.
So
but you came across as
I just
authentic.
I get caught up. I get caught up just like everybody else. You get caught up in the way other people are doing it, and you start watching their success, and you start wondering what they're doing, and you start panicking on your own. But you've got to go back to the three things. Is this helping my health? Okay, so my anxiety is up, my stress is up, so therefore, maybe I'm not working out, or now I'm eating poorly, or because that is stressing me out. Am I getting any traction with my lead generation, which now affects my paycheck, which affects how I feed my family, which now affects my stress level, which my mental health, and are you surrounding yourself with people that are helping you? If you're the smartest person in the room, what they say, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. And by associating yourself with people that are giving and sharing, you get that back.
You get so
And
much
that's
back. And Robin, so here's what I love, right? Like, you're very congruent in a lot of ways. And a lot of people, when we're not hitting goal or we're not getting to where we want to get to, we turn to the action line. And so in my world, in our coaching world, I call it the thought flow model. I know it's something else at KW, but it's, something happens, we have a thought, which triggers a feeling, emotion, energy, which that either you take action or you don't, and impacts your results. So the business strategy side is key to have that buttoned up. We know exactly what we're doing, right? But also the thing is, when we are not getting the result we want, it's not about immediately going to the action line of do more, do more. If I just talk to 20 more people, if I just talk to 50 more people, if I just held 2 more houses open, it's getting to the root of it, which is, what is the thought that I'm having that's creating a feeling or energy that's impacting the actions that I'm either taking or not taking. And when you marry those two things together, crystal clear on the business and crystal clear on thoughts, that's when you get to break through any goal ceiling or any limits that you've ever had in the past, and you start your path to success. And I love how you said it. It could be financial, it could be balance, it could be whatever success, it could be having an extra 100,000 in your bank account, whatever that is. But when you take those things, and thoughts drive all results, when you take those into account with business strategies, you got the winning formula.
You do. And it's difficult, I think, I don't know how I want to say it. It's hard to separate the two and then bring them back together.
Yes.
Right? This is what, business-wise, what I need the result to be at the end of the year. It costs me this much to live every month. It costs me this because I want to put some away for emergencies, or I want to buy an investment, whatever your financial goals are. That's what happens at the end of the year. But there's 12 months in there that says, okay, this was our intention, but now the market has shifted.
Yeah.
And it's going to take longer to sell the house, and it's going to take whatever those things are. And we have to be able to adapt within that and not just throw our hands up and go, well, that's screwed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a big part of it is to neutralize the circumstance. So the market changed, interest rates went up. That's it. Don't give it any energy, any emotion, right? We just take the circumstance at hand and neutralize it, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, what's the thought I'm having around it? And as entrepreneurs, we tend to combine thoughts and facts, and it's separating those two.
Yeah.
Okay, market stats are this. Great. That's not the thought, right? That's supporting evidence.
Yeah.
Drop it. What's the thought you're having? That's where you can blend those two together, is to neutralize the circumstance that's happening, watch the story you create around it through your thoughts, separate facts from thoughts, and then boom, now you've got feelings, actions, and results that are going to show up. So that's what we do a lot on the calls. And I know you hear me ask you this all the time. What's the thought? What are you feeling? Because that, until you fix that, all the action in the world is
well. And John
successful.
Acuff said, so you start the year with this scorecard, right? And it's your scorecard. You can change the rules.
Yes.
That was so, permission to change the goal, right?
Yes.
It's your goal. There's nothing, nobody's holding a gun to your head that says, if you don't get those 50 units, you're fired. No. But if you can't adapt with whatever the flow of the situation is, and you think it's a failure because you're not going to get 50 because you were sick for 2 months or you had personal things that came up, and that makes you a failure, because no. And I think that's really important. Yeah,
I just have a client who's had a significant health situation happen, and they've been out of business for about 4 months this year. And we just had, it's funny, Ryan, we just had this call 10 minutes ago before we started of, let's have a reality check, because the goal right now is so unattainable, not because of anything you did or didn't do. You had a health snafu that you were out. You couldn't walk, you couldn't do whatever. And when you could just feel the sense of relief of, now I still have a stretch goal. We still kept it strong, but it went from, 1 million GCI to a little bit less than that, because we're still capable and we still have time. And I think that is really key for people, is the time that you're most excited and having the most energy around it is the time that you're writing it and you're planning it. That's the most exciting time.
I'm going to do it. This is going to be the best year ever. I'm going to do all these things. It's going to be amazing.
And then this thing called the uninvited dinner guest, life, goes up. It's like, okay, I was only planning dinner for 4 and now there's 6.
Split my Cornish game in with somebody else.
Exactly. You get a wing. Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I think it's really important to have honest conversations, and not, if you didn't do the work, you didn't do the work. Okay. But to keep an unrealistic goal is really unfair. And then conversely, opposite of that, Robin, is when you get to about 85% of the goal, we need to move it.
Yeah.
Because you go into this coast, it's just what the brain does. So being aware of your goal at all times. And you and I talked about this morning on our call. I'm not a fan of a 5 to 10 page business plan. I'm just not, because it gets all written. It's all nice. It stays in your computer or goes on your bookcase, and then you never look at it again. I want you to have a one pager in front of you, so you know what your goal is all the time.
Because the key is what's the goal? How much money, GCI units, and how are you going to get there? And by having a list of all of, there's always, I think somebody, I don't remember who it was, said the 101 ways to lead generate. Well, if you're not going to do all 101, but you're only going to do 4, and then there's 95 more that are there, you feel like you're not doing enough.
Correct. Yes.
Right? You feel like you're leaving. It's like, there's all, I should be doing this, and I should be doing that, and I should be going to whatever.
Yeah. Pick 3.
It beats you up.
Yeah. Pick 3. Focus on the 3, and you'll get to 80 to 85% of your goal. It's just how it works. So,
I think the top, and you can confirm this, but I was just going to say, the top agents have no more than 4 solid lead gen sources.
You're correct. And they stay congruent and focused on that. And they accept the fact that at any time, one of them is going to peter out a little bit. That's why we have more than one. That's why we have more than one. It happens. We're seeing it happen with our greatest source of business right now, our database, because people have gone from, on average, being in a home from 3 to 4 years to being in a home 7 to 9. And so our
They're not
database says
moving.
they're not moving as often. So we have to supplement it with the others. So I always say pick 3 proactive that you love or can love the most. And just, don't get excited because somebody came in and said, "Oh my God, I went to this wedding bridal show and I picked up 5 people." That's a one-off. Don't go run to do a wedding bridal show. Do your 3 or your 4 and stay with it. So, all right, Robin, I want to point out that Robin is an amazing agent, and she is with Keller Williams Urban Dallas in the Dallas Fort Worth market. So if you have any real estate needs in the Dallas market, she's your go-to. But also, Robin, can you help people across the country? Like if I'm in Denver and I
Yes.
don't know what to do, can you help out?
I am fortunate that I am in a mastermind group every morning with agents that are high level, learning based agents across the country and across the world. In fact, I am working a referral right now out of Charlotte. I closed a referral out of Wisconsin and another one at the end of last year from another, I think she's from North or South Carolina. I get those two mixed up all the time. So yes, nationwide, I can connect you worldwide with really good high level learning based agents. So
Awesome.
it's a great asset. It's a great
Awesome.
asset to have.
Awesome. We've got listeners in the States and in 26 different countries. So if you are wanting if you're in Dallas, she's your go-to. If you are in a different state or a different country, I would still reach out and get some guidance because being connected to somebody that, like Robin said, she's in this group, they're all high-minded individuals. They're going to be have different personality, but have this similar commitment. That's who you want to work with in the real estate world, especially now with our market being a little wonky. You really do need a trusted advisor. So, Robin McCoy,
That's me.
so how do I get a hold of you?
Oh, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm pretty easy to find all over Facebook and all the socials. My phone number, call me, text me, 214-226-3770. I'm sure he'll have that somewhere.
Yep.
My website, robinmccoyrealty.com. And just reach out. There's no cost and penalty for education and questions, right? So I feel like if I can spend 10 minutes with somebody and explain the process that helps them get a little closer to their own decision on what needs to be done for themselves, I've won the day.
Awesome. And Robin, we talked about this earlier too. So keep this in mind if you're listening and you own a home and you're especially in the Dallas area. If you need a referral, a vendor, you need help with just that's not about selling or buying a house. She's a great go-to resource for that as well. Length of time in the industry has allowed us to assemble a lot of great vendors around us. And so, all things real estate, all things that you need help
all things
with.
Anything. I got a call about POA, power of attorney for a parent, and I do work a lot in the senior market, helping people get, downsize, or if unfortunately somebody's passed away, and helping them through a lot of that process. And I've got some good attorneys here in Texas because the rules are different in Texas.
Yes, they
for
are.
A lot of things. We like to make our own rules here in Texas.
Yes, Texas certainly does. I lived there for 26 years, and I know Texas is its own little country. But Robin, I can't thank you truly enough for sharing your time, number one, and then just your journey. It's very inspiring, and I think you and I both have the same intention that if somebody wants to do something, anything is possible. So
anything is possible.
Anything's possible. I would say selfishly hire a coach. It helps you get there quicker.
And I went without a coach for a while. I went without a coach and then decided it was time to just keep me between the ditches is really what it is. And you've helped me through some personal things over the last 24 months that have gone on that kept not only me between the ditches, but my business between the ditches as well. So I appreciate that.
Hey, I'm just grateful to be in partnership with you. So thank you for being here. We are going to end with the fact that you got a great resource. And I think if you have any questions, I would reach out to Robin directly. So I appreciate everybody. As always, I say this, you've got Robin's information. If you've got a question, you know how to get a hold of me, Tony at reTHINK Coaching, Tony M. Caliendo is my Instagram. Much like Robin, you Google me, you can pretty much find out anything. So always feel free to reach out and I can connect you with Robin or I can help answer any coaching questions you might have. So thanks for being here, Robin. Hang with me for just a second, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.